Hey folks, this is Matt once again, and this time I'm doing Friday the 13th, the final chapter, which is, I know, bullshit. It was not the final chapter. They wanted it to be because Paramount didn't like the series. They had complained and complained and complained about by everybody, by the critics. Everybody complained about the series. They hated the series. They said it's bad, it's horrible, it's atrocious. They were tired of it, so it's like, okay, we're gonna make one more so that we're not known just for these movies. So they looked at director Joseph Zito, the same guy who I know once or twice um, I kept thinking he directed The Burning, but he directed a film called The Prowler. This is a film that he had worked on with Tom Savini, and he would later work on Tom Savini on stuff like Red Scorpion and stuff like that. And Joseph Zito, like, I know he has talked about, and by the way, The Prowler, I'm not a fan of The Prowler. I think it kind of sucks. I think the only thing going for it is Tom Savini's effects. The story was boring. The killer, even the look of the killer was boring. Nothing interesting subplots or even gimmicks. The characters and acting were forgettable. And, the killer was forgettable. Everything was forgettable for me other than the gore. Good gore and really nothing else to it. And yes, I do sometimes need more than that as slasher. But I know he made that film, The Prowler, and someone at Paramount said, "Oh wow, if that was called Friday the 13th, we'd be glad to release it." And I'm like, "Why?" But whatever. But Joseph Zito got onto this film. Of course, Joseph Zito did Missing in Action as well, which I'm a fan of. Red Scorpion, which is a fun movie. But Friday the 13th, the final chapter, is definitely one of the best of the series because he was able to bring back Tom Savini. Tom Savini came back. He did not do the effects for part 2 and 3, but he came back for this. This, oh, I get to end, sort of to kill this thing I created in the first film. I get to kill Jason. So, that's how it goes. But story wise, again, really not much different. I mean, this takes place right after part 3, where Jason's on the ground, had the axe in the head, and they take him to the morgue. He comes back to life, kills some people. He goes to um, the Jarvis family's living in this house, and it's a mom, a daughter, Trisha, played by Kimberly Beck, and a kid, Tommy Jarvis, played by Corey Feldman. And then some teenagers move in next door, including Crispin Glover. Um, and Lawrence Moneson, who plays Ted and Jimmy. I'll get to. But they move in, and then they get killed one by one. Now, what makes this a very fun entry, I don't really have much problems with this film. Number one, the guy who played Jason, Ted White, with the Jason mask, uh, even though I know he had some problems with the director Joe Zito, because like one time this actress was in the cold, out in the water, freezing, and Ted White didn't like that and got pissed at the director, and they had a little bit of a fight. But Ted White did a great job as Jason. I would say out of the first 4 films, he played Jason the best. My favorite Jason is part 7. Well, Derek Mears played him well as a human as well, so I would probably put that above Ted White. But Ted White did a great job as Jason. Still, he could run, he was fast, and a guy you didn't want to mess with. But I think the cast did a fine job. Like Kimberly Beck as sort of a lead final girl. I'm looking at what she's done. Starred in the pilot episode of 8 is Enough, but she got replaced. Um, Buck Rogers in the 25th Century, Fantasy Island, Dynasty, Roller Boogie, Massacre at Central High. Nothing too much, to be honest. Makes me feel old because she's 55 years old. So wow, makes me feel old. But Kimberly Beth, she did a great job. She was likable. Of course, again, Corey Feldman as Tommy Jarvis. I mean, he was a kid, but he did fine. I mean, I like Corey Feldman, a lot of his movies. I know this is one of his first films. Definitely one of his first big films because uh, he was the voice, one of the voices in The Fox and the Hound. I think right after this he did Gremlins, that big part of Gremlins, and then The Goonies after that, and Stand By Me, The Lost Boys, License to Drive, of course Donatello and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 1 and 3. But definitely his first major role, if you don't want to count the voice in The Fox and the Hound, like the younger versions. But he did a good job too. You have this character Rob, who he comes into play. He like has like this backpack, and he meets Tommy and Trisha, Kimberly Beck and Corey Feldman, and he has like a machete, and apparently he's hunting Jason. Um, Rob Dyers, Eric Anderson is the guy's name. I thought he did a really good job. I don't think he was in Bat 21, Unfaithful, some other stuff. I thought he did a really good job, and he was a character who was looking for kind of revenge. His sister, who was killed by Jason, was the girl in part two. If you remember in part two, the girl that was with the guy on the bed, and Jason put the spear through both of them. The girl, that's the sister of this guy, Rob, who's hunting Jason. I like the idea. Didn't really go too much anywhere, but I like the idea of someone hunting Jason. I thought that was a cool idea. And the actor did a good job. In his death scene, you actually feel sorry for the guy. It's kind of one of the actual creepy death scenes. Because when he dies, it's in the dark. You barely see anything, and it's like this little claw thing. Ah, oh, help me, he's killing me. Which, you say that, it may sound cheesy, but you buy it. Like, the way it was done made it very creepy. Like, out of nowhere, you barely see anything. And he's screaming, it's a slow death, not quick, and you really felt sorry for him. Plus, he was a good actor. Um, Great kills. Like, in the opening, you have that, what was the Moore guy's name? I think the character's name was Axel. And, like, he says lines like, Jesus, Jiminy Christmas shit, or something like that. When he gets scared and he's like watching the aerobics, and Jason has the hacksaw and then the 180 turn, really great makeup effect and death scene. And then the girl he liked, the nurse, she like gets it, and it's like Jason's like cutting her, splitting her open, but it was enough so it wasn't too sadistic. Like they showed enough. Um, And of course, you got Crispin Glover in this film as Jimmy, and his friend Ted, played by Lawrence Moneson. Crispin Glover gone to do Charlie's Angels and Back to the Future and a lot of other stuff. Lawrence Moneson, he was in The Last American Virgin, 1985 film Mask. Um, he was in the film And the Band Played On. TV shows, Starship Troopers 2, he was in that. So unfortunately not too much, but he was really good because I love these characters of Ted and Jimmy, two of my favorite characters in the whole franchise. I just love their back and forth. I think they really do a good job with characters you actually gave a shit about. Like when they're going up and you broke up with BJ Betty? Not quite, you know. And he's like, let me look up on the computer. It says you're a dead fuck. A dead fuck? The computer don't lie. And it's like, they're sort of arguing. It's like, yeah, and there is no computer. Yeah, and there is no Betty, is there? And Christopher Doug's like, then I'm a dead fuck. Like the way he says it with the sadness just makes you laugh, and The other guy, the Ted guy, uh, Lawrence Monason, the way he talks about the computer don't lie. I thought that was hilarious. I think that's doing humor in a slasher film well. See, there's a difference between doing humor and doing comedy. Like, I'm not a fan of Hatchet because I think that's more comedy, like actual just comedy forcing on you. Here, it's humor that eases into the film. Plus, I thought these actors did a lot better. I mean, I would love to have seen more with Jimmy and Ted and these two guys together. I thought they worked very well together. Thought they had great back and forth throughout the whole film. Um, and plus, they both have, and then they also, you're sad to see them go, but they also do have good death scenes. That Ted's character, when he's watching the stab movie, turns around, the knife right into his head that goes down the screen. And of course, Crispin Glover, when you, hey Ted, where's the corkscrew? Boom, and then the boom, and you, ooh, really graphic. Um, Probably the last really graphic film until I would say Jason Goes to Hell. Um, just really great death scenes, likable characters, uh, interesting stuff like the dog who either got thrown out by Jason or it looks like the dog jumped out the window, said fuck this, and boom. Or at the end where Kimberly Beck really held herself against Jason and like putting the TV on his head and when Jason's throwing, dodging, or when Corey Feldman he looks at the, because you find out first off his character's name is Tommy. Whether they want to say it or not, I have to say that Tommy name has to be because of Tom Savini. There's no way you name a character Tommy and then have him be a makeup effects guy, or I should say kid. Which, by the way, if he's making effects like that at 12 years old, 13 years old, whatever, he should be in the business already because those are really good effects. The masks and stuff he makes. And he reads articles and he shaves his head. And it's like Jason, just I guess to confuse Jason. And then that scene where ultimately Tommy hits him boom right in the head with the machete and he falls down and slides down. And they really wanted this to be in, so he's hacking the shit out of him. And then you get an inkling that maybe Tommy will be crazy for later on. But you have a lot of. It's a fun movie. It's very entertaining. You have a lot of good death scenes. Very gory death scenes. Like a guy who's in the shower and he gets his face crushed against the shower wall. Or the girl who's, you don't see it coming, she's trying to get the door open and the axe just boom, goes right through the door into her chest. So you get big body count, a lot of great makeup effects by Tom Savini, solid makeup effects. But you also get some good acting and characters. Kimberly Beck and Corey Feldman did well. I really love the team um, of Ted and Jimmy, Crispin Glover and Lawrence Monason. Of course, you have Crispin Glover's dancing, which I think when he was doing that, they were actually listening to Back in Black from AC/DC, but I guess they couldn't get that, so they got the song from what was it, Lion or some other band like that. I can't remember. And of course, I know on the DVD has two commentaries. The one with the director and writer and the editor, I didn't listen all the way through because I got kind of bored. I will admit the fan calendar with Adam Green and Joe Lynch, I thought was actually kind of fun. They do the stupid thing on these deluxe editions, these lost tales from Camp Blood. Stupid, just pointless. Also, the Crystal Lake Massacres revisited. It's like, hey, let's fake these interviews with people who was actually there at Crystal Lake when the murder. It's like, who gives a shit? I want to hear about the movie. You have this the making of the film, which is like what 12 minutes long, not much, not long at all. But I know you got like Crispin Glover's goofy dance and like, you know, it's just a lot of fun, very entertaining. I don't really find much problems with this. I mean, good characters and actors. Like again, Kimberly Beck, Corey Feldman. I think Eric Anderson, who played Rob, the guy looking for his sister, hunting Jason. That was a nice idea. His death scene you felt sorry for. Harry Manfredini did another great job with the score. Thomas Savini's makeup effects. Lawrence Monason and Crispin Glover, their back and forth was a lot of fun, likable characters. Good body count, a lot of good death scenes. Inventive death scenes, wasn't just the same. Um, and it really ended the film. Like it wasn't, oh, Jason's gonna come back again. Of course, the film came out, it was a big hit. Thus, then they did part 5, of course, like always. But either way, a lot of fun, very entertaining. I know like there's an alternate ending, by the way, where you find out what happens to the mom. Because like the mom's looking, and then she's afraid, and it cuts away, and then the alternate ending, you find that they find the mom in a bathtub of there's bloody water, and they try to do an ending that's like a shock out ending, like her eyes open, and Jason appears and attacks Kimberly back, and then she wakes up, she's in the hospital, but they realize you didn't need that. But it also makes you realize, okay, she was dead, found dead in the bathtub. But I know that's on this as well. But I'll just end it here. This is a very entertaining, very solid sequel. A lot of fun, body count, gore, likable characters, fast pace. The film is not too long, 91 minutes. That's with credits, so not long at all. And this is actually a pretty good DVD because I like the fame commentary. The lost ending, hey, it was interesting to see. Uh, Slash scenes, not much to run on about. I mean, they pretty much had all the gore in there, so. Well, it was a very solid entry. Definitely one of the best Friday the 13th films. But anyway, thanks for watching. Take care, and I will come at you with part 5, A New Beginning. So yeah, final chapter, my ass. But they've done it a few times now. But thanks for watching. Take care, and see you next time. Later.